Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. So to start, here's something weird. Last week, I was packing up the last of my mom's stuff from the apartment. She passed from cancer, long story, not going into it right now. Caden, my husband, just walks in and goes, "Wow, you still have boxes." Kind of with this little laugh like it's a joke but not really. I just stared at him, and he starts picking up my mom's old books like he's annoyed they're in the way. Anyway, that's when I started noticing he's been acting off, like even more than before. So my mom died about, I don't know, it's been 3 months. Feels like a year and also like it just happened, if that makes sense. She was my only real family. My dad's around, but he's basically married to his new wife's family. And to be honest, I feel like an extra in their life, not a main character. Caden's family is local, but they're their own mess, so it's just been me, my husband, and our daughter. She's 4. I've been trying to juggle everything. My kid, the leftover bills from my mom, her storage stuff, all the random paperwork, and my own sanity. There's no big dramatic reveal here. Just me drowning in errands and grief and my husband acting like I'm an inconvenience. I keep thinking maybe I'm just too sensitive or slow or something, but then he'll say something and it's like, whoa, okay, not just me. Example. Yesterday I was putting away groceries and I guess I was quiet just in my head. He walks in, grabs a drink, and just sighs loudly like a full-blown dad sigh for dramatic effect, and says he misses when I was fun. He didn't say it in a jokey way. He just said it like it's supposed to snap me out of it. I didn't even respond because what do you say to that? Sorry for not being the life of the party when I'm literally dealing with the worst thing ever. He's been going out more too, like not hiding it, just saying he needs to clear his head or see the guys. Then I'll see him on Beale or whatever at a bar while I'm at home with our kid, folding laundry and eating cereal for dinner. The other night he told me he was going to help Sylvia with something, his friend from the gym, and I was like, okay, cool. Will you be home for bedtime? And he just shrugged. So last night is where it all hit the fan. Warning. This is about to get ugly. Our daughter had a meltdown before bed. She's been clingy, which I get, all the changes and stuff, but Caden just gets impatient. He told her to stop crying, which obviously didn't work, so I took her to the other room and did the whole story song routine. When I came back, Caden was on his phone, scrolling TikTok with the sound blasting, not even pretending to help. I asked if he could start the dishwasher, and he just rolled his eyes and said, "I'm being bossy again." I just lost it a little, and I told him I can't do everything by myself. He goes, "You're not the only one who lost someone, but at least I'm not making everyone miserable about it." I kind of just stared at him because for real he barely even talked to my mom. He acts like I'm making the house sad on purpose. I went into the bathroom. I locked the door because I needed a second to just cry without my kid seeing. Not even 5 minutes later he's banging on the door. Not like a little knock, but slamming the palm of his hand. He says I'm being selfish, that I'm always hiding from my responsibilities, and that I should stop mourning someone who's gone and not coming back. I told him to leave me alone, and he just kept going. Our daughter started crying again because of the noise, and I just felt done. I came out and told him to please just go hang out with his friends if he's so annoyed by me. He said maybe he would since he never gets a break. I said, "What do you think I get?" He barely looked at me. He just grabbed his jacket and slammed the front door so hard that the picture frame in the hallway fell off the nail, and I taped it back up because I can't deal with broken glass on top of everything else. He left me with our daughter. She was still sniffling, so I let her watch Blue with me on the couch until she calmed down. I texted him to ask when he'd be back, got nothing, and called once, straight to voicemail. I tried not to spiral, but I was so mad I could barely think. I ended up just crashing on the couch with my kid because I was too tired to move. He didn't come home until after 2 a.m. I know because I checked my phone when I heard the door. He didn't even try to be quiet. He just stomped around the kitchen, opened and closed the fridge a few times, no idea what he was even looking for, then came down the hall and banged on our bedroom door. I opened it just to crack, and he looked at me like I was the annoying one. He said I need to stop making a scene in front of our daughter, and that he's tired of walking on eggshells. I told him I'm tired too. He started to say something else, but I just shut the door in his face. I could hear him muttering on the other side. But he finally gave up and went to sleep in the guest room. This morning I woke up to our daughter climbing into bed with me, asking where Daddy was. I said he was sleeping and she asked if he was mad. I didn't know what to even say to that. I got her ready for daycare, packed her snack, and went to make coffee. I noticed a note on the fridge, like actual paper, which he never does, that just said, "Need space. Maybe you should take some too." No, sorry, nothing. I texted him again, asking who's picking up our daughter today. No answer. I called, he didn't pick up. Finally, he texted back like 2 hours later and said he's busy and I should figure it out. I don't have anyone else to ask. Honestly, my dad is out of town, his family is complicated, and all my friends work, so yeah, I just did it. I tried calling my dad for advice. Not that he's super useful, but he said maybe Caden just needs to process in his own way and suggested I give it a week. He also said I shouldn't escalate things. I don't know what that even means, like am I supposed to just keep acting like this is normal? The whole day I kept thinking about how angry I am but also weirdly numb. I kept replaying that moment with the bathroom door. Am I selfish? Is it really too much to need time alone? I feel like I'm going nuts. I keep checking my phone out of habit, like maybe he'll text and say he's sorry, but nothing. Tonight I tried to talk to him when he finally came home. I said we needed to figure out a plan, maybe talk to someone. I don't know, he just brushed past me, didn't look up from his phone, and went to take a shower. When he came out, I asked him not to slam doors or yell in front of our daughter anymore. He said, maybe if I acted like a real wife instead of a walking funeral, he wouldn't have to. I slapped him. I just snapped. He looked at me, then shoved past me and started packing a bag. I asked where he was going, and he said he's not doing this anymore, that I can figure things out by myself since I like being alone so much. He left again, this time with the door wide open, and neighbors definitely heard. I saw Bernice in the hallway giving me side eye when I went to close it. Now I'm sitting here, kid finally asleep, staring at the empty spot where his shoes used to be. Part of me wants to call him. Part of me wants to just throw his stuff onto the street. I'm so tired of being the only one holding it together. I keep thinking, is this what my life is now? Just walking on eggshells and apologizing for missing my own mom? Anyway, sorry for the rant. I just needed to get this out somewhere. If anyone has advice or just wants to agree that this is insane, I'm here. I'm not perfect, but I don't think I deserve to be treated like this. First update. Okay, so I didn't think I'd be back here this quick. But you guys, I can't even wrap my head around how last night went. I'm still kind of shaky, and not gonna lie, I keep replaying everything in my head, and I just don't know. I feel like I need to write it out before I explode. First off, I guess I should have known something was off when I came home from daycare drop-off and saw the trash still sitting by the door. Caden always complains if I forget it, so I waited to see if he'd actually do it, but nope, just scrolled past it like it didn't exist. Our daughter was already in a mood this morning. She woke up looking for him again. And I'm so tired of making excuses for him like Daddy's busy or Daddy's tired. She's 4, she's not stupid. So anyway, I tried to get through my day juggling the usual emails, phone calls about my mom's stuff, and my kid being extra clingy. I texted Caden to see if he was picking her up, and he left me on read for like 2 hours just staring at my phone, refreshing for no reason, knowing I'd have to figure it out myself. I ended up leaving work early, lol, whatever, to get her. Not like anyone else offered. What's weird is, even just as I was picking her up, the daycare teacher, Stephanie, she's super nice but always low-key judging me, asks if everything's okay at home. Not in a nosy way, just kind of careful, I guess. My daughter told her that Daddy slammed the door and made Mommy sad. I just smiled and said things have been a lot since my mom died, and she nodded. She totally gets it, but also probably thinks I'm a hot mess. I mean, she's not wrong. I got home and of course Caden's not there. No heads up or anything, just a sticky note on the table that says, taking time for myself. Like, what even is that anyway? I make dinner for me and the kid, mac and cheese and cucumber slices, because that's all I had energy for. We're halfway through Bluey when Caden finally comes in. He barely looks at us, just heads straight for the shower. Our daughter runs up to him, arms out, and he just kind of pats her on the head and says he's tired. She looks at me like she did something wrong. I could feel my blood pressure going up, but I just told her Daddy needs quiet time and tried to distract her with her coloring book. After his shower, he comes out in sweats, grabs his phone, and sits at the table scrolling. I ask if he's going to help with bedtime and he just shrugs. I say, can you at least put her in pajamas? He groans, stands up, and just does it without saying a word. But I can hear him huffing the whole time. My daughter asks for a story and he just says, not tonight, Mommy will do it. She cries and he just walks out and goes back to his phone. I'm not even exaggerating. He spent the next hour scrolling Instagram and TikTok, earbuds in like we weren't even there. I tucked her in, came out and tried to talk to him. I said, "You can't just check out like this, she needs you." He looks up and says, "I need me too, and I'm not going to break myself just to make you feel better." I told him, "This isn't about me, it's about being a parent." And he just shakes his head and says, "You always make it about you." It's like he's not even hearing me anymore. So I grabbed my stuff, went to the bedroom to just breathe, and then I saw his phone light up with a message. I know I shouldn't have, but I glanced at it. Something from Bernice, his cousin's wife, but they don't even talk usually, about hanging out Friday and hoping he's okay. I asked him about it, and he just snatched his phone, said I'm paranoid, and stormed out to the balcony. I followed, and we ended up yelling at each other. He said I'm trying to control him, and I said he's acting like a stranger. He pushed past me to get back inside, slammed the balcony door so hard it rattled the glass. I yelled that he can't just run away every time things get hard, and he said, "Maybe I should try it sometime." After that, he disappeared into the guest room with his phone and didn't come out all night. I heard him talking to someone, but I honestly didn't have the energy to listen. I just sat in my room staring at the wall, wondering how the hell we got here. This morning, he gets up before me and leaves without saying anything. I go to the kitchen and there's no note, no coffee mate, nothing. Our daughter is already up, watching cartoons on the tablet, eating dry cereal she got herself. She asks if Daddy's mad at her. I almost lost it. I told her she didn't do anything wrong, but I could tell she didn't believe me. I called my dad again, hoping, G for IDK, a pep talk or something. He just says, maybe Caden needs to process his grief differently and I should give him space. I wanted to scream. I said, "What about my grief? What about our kid?" He just kind of sighed and said, "Maybe I should come visit," but then admits his wife isn't comfortable with all the drama. I said thanks, and hung up. Honestly, useless. Around noon I get a text from Caden that just says, "I'll be late, Silvio." No explanation, not even a question about our daughter. I reply, "Are you picking her up or not?" He leaves me on read again for an hour, then finally says, "Your problem today. I can't do everything." I almost threw my phone, so I just handled it. Picked her up, made dinner again, leftover pizza, don't judge. Tried to make it a normal night, but she was extra sensitive, kept asking about Daddy, wouldn't go to bed without her stuffed bunny, which I had to tear apart the couch for. At one point she said she wished Grandma was here. I just hugged her and tried not to cry. Caden finally comes home after 9 o'clock, smells like beer but not wasted, just tired and annoyed. He looks at me and says, "I hope you're happy. You got your way." I asked what that even means and he says, "You wanted me gone, I'm gone." But then he sits on the couch like he's waiting for me to do something. I just ignored him, went and cleaned up the kitchen. He follows me in, leans against the counter and says, "You're obsessed with death. You need to get over it." I told him, "You have no idea what this feels like." He said, "I lost people too, but I don't drag everyone down with me." I couldn't believe it. I said, "Are you seriously comparing losing your great uncle who you barely talk to me losing my mom?" He just shrugs and says, "It's all the same in the end." I wanted to scream. Instead, I just told him to get out of my face. "I'm done having this fight." He said, "Fine," and pushed the chair in so hard it scraped the floor. After he left, I called my friend, not even my best friend, just someone I used to hang with before all this, but she was busy and just texted me to hang in there. I ended up scrolling Reddit for hours, reading stories that sound like mine but also not, because at least in those, people seem to have family who actually care. I put my daughter to bed again, alone. She asked if Daddy was coming to say goodnight, but he was in the guest room with the door locked. I knocked once, said she wanted him, but he just yelled, "Tell her I love her, I'm busy." I told him this isn't how parenting works and he just yelled back, "I can't talk to you right now, you'll twist it." I went back to my room and just sat there thinking, is this what it's going to be like now? Just me doing everything with him, showing up to criticize or ignore us. I feel like I'm losing my mind, but also weirdly, I'm starting to care less about his approval. I'm just tired and mad and a little bit done with being the only one who seems to give a crap. I don't know what to do next. I thought about calling his mom, but she's even less helpful than my dad. Last time I tried, she just said, Boys will be boys, and I should dress up and make a nice dinner. I threw up in my mouth a little just thinking about it. Honestly, I'm starting to get scared for what this is doing to my daughter. She's picking up everything even if we try to hide it. She's asking too many questions and I don't have any answers. I keep thinking I should just take her and go somewhere. But I have nowhere to go. My dad's place is a no, Caden's family is a nope, and my friends all have their own crap. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Caden's space is just him opting out of being a dad, and I'm supposed to pick up the slack and pretend everything is normal. I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending. I'm not going to let him make me feel crazy anymore, but I honestly don't know what the next move is. I'll update if anything changes, but at this point I kind of doubt it. I'm just tired and so sick of doing this alone. Second update. Back again because apparently my life can always get more chaotic, and honestly, I'm not even sure how I'm supposed to keep pretending this is normal. I know I said I'd update if something changed, but this wasn't what I had in mind. Also, thanks for the DMs and comments. I didn't reply to everyone, but it means a lot, even if it's just internet strangers. I need it. So it started weird like always. Caden's been doing this thing where he leaves his phone face down always, not just sometimes, always, even when charging. I don't usually care about privacy stuff. I'm not the jealous wife type. But after everything lately, I don't know, it just stuck out. And the kicker is he acts like I'm the one with issues if I notice. Yesterday morning was a mess. I barely slept again, and of course I wake up to my daughter in bed with me asking if she can go to the park. I say, we'll see. And she immediately asks if daddy can come too. I say maybe, knowing damn well he won't. Anyway, I get up, walk out to the kitchen, and there's Caden already dressed, keys in hand, backpack on. I ask where he's going and he just says, Sillios, I told you. But he didn't tell me. Not that it even matters anymore. But the way he said it, so automatic, like he's practiced it. He leaves without another word, doesn't even look at our kid. I try to make the day normal. Breakfast, cartoons, the usual. I call my dad, thinking maybe he'll finally step up and say something useful. But he's still in Florida with his wife's family and basically says, just hang in there, maybe plan a trip, get some air. Right, like I can do that with zero money and a kid who won't sleep unless I'm in the room. So in the afternoon, I get a text from Silvio's wife, Bernice. I mentioned her before. She had the heart emoji next to her name in Cadence's phone, which, yeah, weird, but whatever. She's always been kind of flirty in a harmless way. She asks if I can recommend a good pizza place for their son's birthday. Normal, but something just feels off, so I ask, is Caden there? She know, why would he be? I literally just stare at my phone for a full minute. I ask if Silvio's around and she says he's at work, but she'll tell him I said hi. So that's it. I know Caden's not at Silvio's. I try to text him, no answer. I call. It rings and rings, then goes to voicemail. I leave a message asking if he's okay, and then just wait. I'm not proud of it, but I start checking his location on Life 360. We got it for emergencies when our daughter was born, and I totally forgot it was still on both our phones. He's across town, not moving, at some random address I don't recognize. I let it go for an hour then too. Finally, I get a text from him. Don't wait up, need space. That's it. I almost laugh because it's so predictable at this point, but I'm done being the one who just lets it go. The next part is probably the most awkward I've ever felt as an adult. I decide to call Silvio directly and just ask because I'm tired of guessing. He picks up sounding half asleep and I say, sorry for the weird question, but is Caden there or with you? He just goes, no. I say, he told me he was. Silence. Then he goes, we haven't hung out in weeks. What's going on? I hear Bernice in the background asking if everything's okay. And I just say, yeah, never mind. Sorry, didn't mean to bother you. I hang up and my hands are actually shaking, which is ridiculous, but whatever. I sit there for a while thinking about all the times I let him make me feel like I was just overreacting or imagining things. Like maybe I am, but also, at some point, facts are facts. He comes home late after dark, doesn't say a word, just goes straight to the guest room. I follow him in there and I'm not even calm. I just say, where were you? He tries to brush me off, says I'm being paranoid, says I'm making everything about me. I tell him I called Silvio, so if he wants to keep lying, he can, but I already know. He gets mad, like actually mad, stands up so fast the chair topples backwards and shoves past me to the hall, says I'm crossing lines now involving other people, embarrassing him. I say, You embarrassed yourself. I just want the truth. He slams the bathroom door so hard the handle dents the wall. I knock, tell him I'm not leaving until he talks to me. He opens it and just stands there, arms folded, says, I need help, that I'm unstable and obsessed with controlling him. I tell him I'm not letting him take it out on me or our daughter anymore. He just laughs and says, maybe he should go stay with his mom since I clearly don't want him here. I say, you can go if it means you'll finally be honest, but you're not taking our kid. He says, I have just as much right, you're not fit to decide. I tell him, if he tries, we'll have a real problem. And I mean it. He gets right up in my face, way too close, and I don't back down. I tell him, you want space, take it, but don't threaten me. He leaves, slamming the front door. I go after him, see him outside in the hallway, and our neighbor comes out and just looks at us. We're both nuts. I pull the door closed, lock it, and text him that if he wants to come back, he needs to talk to me like an adult. He doesn't reply. I call my dad again. I know I'm desperate at this point, and he says, maybe you should come here. But then he says his wife isn't comfortable with all that drama. I say, thanks, so helpful. I text a couple of friends. No one answers because it's late, and probably everyone's tired of my drama. So now it's just me and my daughter. She wakes up in the night, comes into my bed, and says she had a scary dream about daddy leaving and not coming back. I hug her and promise I'm not going anywhere. I barely sleep at all, just waiting for the next shoe to drop. This morning I get a message from Caden's mom. She's not usually involved, but out of nowhere she texts me asking if everything's okay. She says Caden called her late last night. She doesn't say what he told her, just wants to know if I need help or if she should come over and talk. I don't even know what to say to that. I just say, it's complicated, thanks for checking. The rest of the day is awkward. Caden doesn't come home. I try to keep things normal for my daughter, but she's quiet, not her usual self. I take her out for ice cream just to get out of the house. I text Caden telling him I'm taking her out. He doesn't reply. By dinner time I get another text from Caden, this time saying, you made this worse, now my family's involved. Hope you're happy. I just stare at it. I reply, you involved them by lying and disappearing, not me. He leaves me on read. Late at night I get a knock on the door. It's Caden's mom and his sister, both looking uncomfortable, holding a tray of cookies. Why do people do this? They ask if they can come in. I say, sure, but I'm not in the mood for a big talk. They sit at the table, offer cookies to my daughter, and then Caden's mom says, maybe we all just need to let things cool down, and that I shouldn't make big decisions while grieving. I almost laugh. I say, I'm not the one making decisions. I just want honesty and a partner who actually shows up. Caden finally shows up an hour later, walks in, sees his family, and looks at me like I've betrayed him. He says, so this is what we're doing now, ganging up on me. I say, no, but I'm not letting you gaslight me anymore. He tries to act like he's the victim, says I'm unstable. He's worried about our daughter. I stand up and tell him if he's so worried, he can start by actually being present. He tries to talk over me, but I don't let him. Caden's sister tries to mediate, but it's clear she just wants it to be over. He says, maybe he should just take our daughter to his mom's for a while. Give me space to sort myself out. I say, absolutely not. You don't get to take her just because you're uncomfortable with your own choices. He pushes past me, tries to pick up our daughter, but I block him, tell him to put her down and talk like an adult. He actually tries to pull her toward the door, and I snap, physically blocking him, hand on his arm. Letting him take her, he looks at his mom like I'm being unreasonable, but she just shakes her head and tells him to stop. Finally, he drops her hand and storms off to the guest room. His mom sighs and says she's sorry, and they leave. So now it's quiet. My daughter's asleep. I'm sitting here with a tray of cookies nobody wants, thinking about how I've spent months letting him make me feel like the crazy one. But I'm not. I'm done pretending this is normal. I'm not letting him just opt out of his life and blame me for it. I don't know what happens next exactly, but I'm not backing down. If he wants to leave, he can leave, but I'm not going to let him rewrite the story or take my daughter away just because he can't handle being called out. We'll update if anything major happens, but for now, I'm just going to protect my kid and do what I have to do. Tired but not broken, I guess. Thanks for reading. Third update. So I wasn't even sure I'd post again, but last night and today have been so weird that I need to get it out somewhere before my brain melts. Like, all of this is happening in my real life, and I keep thinking if I read it here, I'd probably be like, girl, walk away. But it's never that simple when it's actually your life, is it? Anyway, after the whole cookies and Caden storming off thing the other night, I tried to just shut down like autopilot mode. I made breakfast for my daughter. She wanted pancakes like grandma made, and I just said, okay, and microwaved a frozen one because honestly, who can right now? She barely touched it. I scrolled on my phone, half doom scrolling, half hoping for a text from Caden that wasn't some blamey nonsense, but nothing. I could hear him in the guest room, but he never came out. At some point, I think he left for a bit, probably to go sulk at a coffee shop or whatever, but I literally did not care. Here's where it starts to get surreal. Caden's mom and his sister turned up again, but this time they brought actual groceries like a whole bag of apples, a rotisserie chicken, juice boxes, and for some reason a head of cabbage. Caden's sister, Stephanie, was acting extra nice, like overcompensating. She kept calling me hon and sweetie, which she never does. My daughter was happy to see them at least, but I could tell she was picking up on the tension. They parked themselves at my kitchen table and started talking in low voices. Caden's mom says, "We just want to help. Maybe smooth things over for everyone." I said, "Thanks, but what does that even mean?" She goes, "Well, maybe we should all sit down as a family and talk, and maybe you should take some time for yourself. Let us watch your daughter for a weekend, give you a break." Honestly, the way she said break felt loaded. I tried to be polite and just said, "I'm not comfortable with that right now. I want my daughter here with me." Stephanie nodded, but I could see her texting under the table, probably updating Caden on my attitude. I asked if Caden put them up to this, and Caden's mom said, "He's just worried. He told us, you've been struggling." I wanted to scream. I said, "Yeah, I'm struggling because my mom died and my husband bails on me every time I need him." They both just looked at each other like I was being unreasonable while they were there. Caden came, which never happens when his family is around. He walked in, saw them, and immediately started in with the whole, "I'm just trying to help, but you make it impossible" thing. I told him if he wanted to help, he could start by telling the truth and actually parenting instead of outsourcing everything to me and now to his family. He said, "I'm trying to protect our daughter from your moods, as if I'm some monster." At that point I started shaking. I was so angry. I told him in front of everyone, "You're not taking her anywhere. You're not pulling this unstable mom crap with me." His sister said, "Maybe we all need to calm down." But I said, "No, I'm done being calm. If you want to talk, let's talk, but I'm not handing over my kids so you can feel better." Caden slammed his hand on the table. My daughter jumped and started crying. I picked her up and walked her out of the room. Stephanie followed, trying to say, "Don't worry, Daddy's just upset." But I told her not to minimize it. I said, "You have no idea what it's like." She tried to hug me and I just shrugged her off. After a while, I heard them all talking in the other room, and I realized they were debating whether to stage an intervention, like actually using those words. I went back in and said, "I'm right here, you can talk to me." Caden's mom said, "We think you need to get some help. Maybe talk to someone and take a little time away from your daughter so you can focus on yourself." I said, "No thanks, I'd like you to leave now." Caden actually tried to block the door, told me I was being unreasonable, and I just pushed past him, opened the door, and told his mom and sister to leave. I said, "You can come back when you're ready to talk to me like a human being, not a problem." Stephanie tried to say, "We're just worried," but I told her, "If you're worried, worry about your brother, not me." I shut the door and locked it. My daughter clung to me the rest of the afternoon, wouldn't let go of my hand even when I was making lunch. I let her. Honestly, I kept thinking, if this is the price of finally standing up for myself, then fine. Caden spent the rest of the day sulking, wouldn't even look at me. At one point he tried to say, "If you keep acting like this, I'll call a lawyer and get custody." I laughed, which I immediately regretted because he got even madder. I told him, "Good luck explaining to a judge why you ran away when things got tough and left your grieving wife alone with a 4-year-old. He just glared and went back into the guest room. I texted my dad just to see if he'd say anything useful, but he just replied, "Sorry, can't get involved." Classic. Later, Caden's mom texted to apologize for overstepping, but said she still thinks I need to take care of myself. I didn't reply. Honestly, I'm so done with her pretending this is about concern when it's just about not wanting the neighbors to talk. And they are. I know for a fact Polly from across the hall asked if everything was okay. I just said rough week, and she nodded like she's heard it all before. So here's the now I have to decide what happens next part. Caden came to me late last night after our daughter went to bed and tried to act all calm and rational. He said, "Look, you're obviously not happy." "I'm not happy. Maybe we should just separate for a while." I said, "Fine, but I'm not leaving this apartment and I'm not letting you take our daughter." He said, "That's not fair." And I said, "Neither is any of what you've done." He started yelling, and I told him if he wakes her up, I will call the cops for disturbing the peace. I don't care if the whole building hears. He slammed the door on his way out, but not before saying, "You'll regret this." The thing is, I'm scared, but not in a way where I think he'll hurt us. More like I'm scared of what's going to happen when I finally stop playing along. Like, will he actually try to get custody? Will his family keep showing up? Will my daughter always remember this as the year her family fell apart? I started making a list last night of what I actually need to do because I can't just live in limbo. I called the building manager this morning and asked about changing the locks, but they said I need Caden's signature or a court order. Of course, I looked up a couple of family mediation places not because I want to go, but because I want a paper trail if I need it. I even called a therapist and left a voicemail because I guess Caden's family is right about one thing. I do need help, just not the kind they want. Tonight, I let my daughter pick dinner, chicken nuggets and apples obviously, and we watched a movie together on the couch. At one point, she asked if Daddy was coming home and I said, "Maybe later, but for now it's just us." She seemed okay with it. Caden is still here technically. He went out after dinner, said he needed fresh air, but I heard him on the phone in the hallway talking to his mom about next steps. I didn't eavesdrop, but I know this isn't over. He came back, didn't say anything to me, just went straight to the guest room. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next month. I just know I'm not giving up my home or my daughter, and I'm not letting him or his family tell me who I am or what I need. So that's it for now. I'm not going to pretend I have some wise lesson or big inspirational takeaway. Just is what it is. I'll keep updating if anything huge happens, but I think I need to focus on just surviving for a bit. Thanks for reading. Seriously, if anyone's been through something like this and made it out the other side, I'd love to hear how you did it, or just tell me I'm not crazy for finally fighting back. I really need to hear it tonight. Final update. First weird thing after Caden's family left that day, he was totally silent. Silent like not just normal sulking but full radio silence, no calls. Not even those one-word texts about our daughter. I let it go for a day then too. I started feeling weird, like maybe he was actually going to try something. IDK 3 days in, I get a message from Caden, but it's not even to me. It's a group chat with his mom, his sister, and me. He says, "Since Polly refuses to cooperate, I'll be picking up our daughter for the weekend. I've already made arrangements." Just like that, as if I don't exist except as an obstacle. His mom immediately texts, "We can help." And Stephanie sends a thumbs up. I didn't even answer for a while because I was so mad. Like, I'm not an event for you all to plan around. So anyway, I text Caden separately and say, "If you want to see your kid, you set it up with me, not a group chat." He writes back, "I'm tired of your drama. I'll be there at 9 a.m. Saturday." Fast forward to Saturday, 8:50 a.m. I'm already bracing for a fight, but he shows up with his mom and Stephanie, all acting like it's a party. He tries to walk right in. I stand in the doorway and say, "Slow down. You're not just taking her for the whole weekend without a plan." He gets all huffy, starts accusing me of trying to keep his daughter from him. His mom is behind him talking about family unity. I tell them, "You don't get to show up and bulldoze me out of the way." I said, "You want to spend time with her? Fine, but we are agreeing on times and details, and you're not just steamrolling over me." Caden starts raising his voice, says, "I'm making things difficult. I'm unstable. Blah blah." Stephanie tries to stand between us. I tell her to move because I'm not having this argument in front of my kid. Finally, he tries to push past me, like physically push, and I just step right in front, hand on the frame, not moving. I said, "Stop. You're not coming in unless you calm down and talk to me like a human." My daughter's behind me, clutching her stuffed bunny, and I can tell she's scared. His mom starts saying I'm overreacting, that I should just let things run their course. I lost it a little, not going to lie. I said, "This is my house. You don't get to come in and take over just because you're uncomfortable with my boundaries." I told Caden, "If you try to push past me again, I'll call the landlord and let the neighbors handle it." He finally steps back, all red-faced, muttering about how I'm unbelievable. At that point, I told him, "I'm happy to let you take her to the park for a few hours, but you're not taking her for the weekend until we have an actual agreement." I literally stood there blocking the door and waited for him to say something. His mom tried again to guilt me, but I just shook my head. Finally, Cadence says, "Fine, we'll go to the park. We'll be back by 3 o'clock. I said, "Okay," and handed him a pack bag with snacks, wipes, her water bottle, and the bunny because I know he'd forget. They left, and I swear I just sat on the couch shaking for 10 minutes. I almost cried, but then I started cleaning the kitchen. Instead, my phone was blowing up with texts from his mom about how hard this is for everyone. I put it on silent and just let it go. They brought her back right at 3 o'clock. She was tired, a little clingy, but fine. Caden tried to act all casual like nothing happened, but I just said, "Thanks, see you next time." He started to say something, but I shut the door and locked it. I could hear them in the hallway for a bit, but I didn't care. After that, it was weirdly quiet. Caden stopped coming by so much, just texting for short visits. He tried twice to argue about custody, but I just repeated, "Put it in writing or go talk to someone who actually cares." I started keeping a notebook with all the stuff he said just in case. Thanks to everyone who suggested that, seriously lifesaver. His family backed off too eventually. I think they realized I wasn't going to roll over. Stephanie texted me once asking if we could all reset and just focus on the kid. But I told her that's all I ever wanted. She left me on read. Caden still shows up, but only when it's his turn. We don't talk much, just the basics. He tried one more time to guilt me into taking him back, but I said, "You had your chance." I meant it. Thanks for reading. If you made it this far, you guys made me feel less alone in this fire. If you ever need permission to put your foot down and say no more, consider this it. Signing off for real this time.